step forward.
Welcome to the Then and Now podcast, greatest podcast in the universe, multiverse, solar system, and all that good host, Mr. C. Diesel. To the left of me, I have Mr. Lelouch V. How you doing? To the right, I have Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. How you doing, my brother?
How do? Do we have our name tags or name plates up?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to put those up because I was going to show the video, so I took it down.
Oh, that's okay. Now, you know what you're doing better than I do. You're the brains of our outfit. You are the brains of our outfit.
I will not disagree with that sentiment.
I will.
Oh, no, that's still not it. Damn it.
We got to get rid of that one. We still
Yes,
I
said it twice. You said we need to get rid of that one.
Now, like immediately, it's gone. It's gone now.
It's gone. I'm sorry, Mass Man. You're a good dude, though.
There we go. There we go.
Anyway,
live streaming.
Before we get started, I gotta ask Otis real quick. Otis, are you happy for me?
Is you happy for me?
Think hard. Think hard.
Ethan, we'll get it later. We're gonna do the videos with the album later.
Say, is you happy for me?
Anyway, get into the show. Today we're gonna be discussing a plethora of topics, mainly Gotham Knights. Before we get into Gotham Knights, though, there's something that I wanted to share with you guys. You guys may or may not have seen it. It came out a little bit over a month ago. Let me get the video up. Got it in the files here. Here it is. So, for people that do not know, this is going to be gameplay from a Superman game that is being developed by an independent person. This has all been done by one person. So if you guys remember a little while ago, the people from the Matrix dropped their Unreal Engine trailer for the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
This essentially is the same engine that I think they released it to the public for people to play around with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this guy, his name is Tyson Butler Boschma. He is the creative director and owner or creator of Toy Box Games. So he himself in his pastime went about getting this engine, and he got a bunch of different stock assets and things of that nature, and he created a Superman flight simulator pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really do too much else besides fly in it, but looking at how beautiful this looks, and you guys know I don't fuck with Superman like that, like at all. But this looks dope. I'd play the fuck out of this game. Like, and I wanted to bring this up because we kind of talked about it a little bit ago in regards to studios being kind of lazy when it comes to the development of certain games.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole thing is, if you have one individual in his spare time, which he's a business owner of his own video game company itself, and he was able in his spare time, as busy as he probably is, to do this with an engine that was already released to the public. I don't understand why people can't, these major studios and corporations can't go about replicating this or even improving upon this and putting money behind it. Because the only thing that's really lacking is just a budget to do all kinds of other technical stuff that I'm not fully aware of at this moment in time.
Well, that's one thing we got to be careful of right there. There's a lot of things we don't know about when it comes. Game development takes a lot of time for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It takes years and lots of money for reasons. And this, as cool as it looks, it is basically just a flight simulator. And all this was a little bit of copy and paste. And yes, Tyson did a great job actually creating he's not called Superman. He can't be called Superman. He calls him like Flight Man. But it's
it's called Superman Flight Simulator on the whatever site you put it on.
But obviously that's franchised. He can't actually use that branding. That'll get him in trouble. So this simulation is cool to look at, but it's not a game. It's nowhere near a game. And to actually develop a full-blown game would take a lot more time and effort. But as far as why WB Games and all of them don't make Superman games, for years it was just they didn't know how to make a good one. I mean, you've played or you've seen Superman 64. Terrible. That is one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. And I was infuriated when I played that. It had Superman Returns, that game based off that movie, which is pretty bad as well. I do have hope for them making a game that can actually have some flight in it like this, but Superman it's a different kind of a character, an OP character, so I don't know how they would make it work. There's obviously a way, but I'm not sure how to do it. This in and of itself isn't a game yet. This is just a fun flight simulator.
Right. To caveat off of both of my partners over here, I mean, going into the Unreal Engine, I mean, the thing is amazing. Like what we're seeing now is like bits and pieces of things that a person plugged in, because you that's how it works. The engine essentially runs the motion itself. You plug in items individually to legit like Lego building block build your everything that they're seeing there. and he took the time to truly build out a city, which is very impressive. I mean, I know that had to take hours because like each piece comes individually, like it's literally like a little bitty Lego. So to put all that work in, I definitely put kudos into him. But like I said, it's not a game just yet. Like he hasn't dealt with like any of the texture mechanics with how Flightman interacts with any of the surfaces. Like there are a few minor things put into like to work aesthetically for this video, but it's still far from a game. I mean, this can definitely be taken as a blueprint and put into the hands of a major studio to make this into a real thing. Absolutely, but he's still got a little ways to go.
All right, and I mostly bring this up because obviously I think a while ago Rocksteady announced it. I don't know if they announced it, but it was rumored because I think they dropped a trailer at E3 that they were working on a Superman game a long time ago. The same studio that developed Batman the Arkham series. And one of the biggest things that I've heard in regards to difficulties when creating Superman are obviously the power scaling and how he interacts with the city, like how much punching stuff, and then the flight and how making the flight fun and realistic. This right here alone, to me, narrows down a big portion of the flight stuff. Obviously, you'd have to have more caveats to make it more nuanced and add some advancement to the flight. But it's the basics of like he feels fast, he's flying, it looks cool. Obviously, you'd have to work on like the texture of the cape and stuff like that. But to me, this is a big start.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a great start.
Like, this is a beautiful blueprint for a game. Like,
I agree.
If that is the map, then he did an excellent job. Like, I mean, I'm sure they still got to do like the voice acting to get into the sounds of the city. You got to get the bits, sound bites and things like that. There's a lot that still got to be added to that. But if that's the city itself, then that's fantastic, man. Like that, it looks great, it moves great, but that Unreal Engine does a lot of the work.
Oh, absolutely.
It's amazing. It's really amazing.
And you brought up some really good points there too, Dev, as far as the other obstacles when it comes to Superman. It's the same thing you have with the movies and the comic books. Any way he's portrayed is the power scaling and how he's able to handle dealing with his enemies and things like that. I mean, because he's someone that's basically like Saitama or One Punch Man in a way. How do you give a actual challenge to a gamer? If every single thing he goes up against, he just punches them once and they're destroyed, they're done. Or if he can instantly just blow things away with his heat vision or ice breath or what have you, trying to have a fun game based around that keeps you engaged for more than a few minutes can be challenging.
Right. And it pains me because I see stuff like this and I'm just like, literally all they're lacking is money and the resources. If you have somebody with a mind like, especially where this isn't just a random person, this is somebody who's a game developer himself.
Right.
So you have like one independent game developer, which again we saw previous to this. I showed you guys the Batman 1989 stuff where this guy developed the whole Michael Keaton Batman universe. You have these independent people that all they're lacking are the funds and the resources. If I'm Warner Brothers or like a huge studio or something like that, I'm supplying that. Literally, I don't even have to do a lot of the work. I'm supplying you with the people you need and the money you need so I can have a great product. And obviously the passion will be there because you took time out of your day, especially that person being busy, to create this thing. I don't know. I see passion projects like that I think deserve recognition and deserve support to be great products.
That also what you have to realize, and the kind of the negative truth about companies like this is they want to make money too. And if they honestly, a project like that's close to completion is honestly probably less likely to get picked up because they can say, oh, we own less of this, meaning we don't get as much of the money as we will want from the production of this thing. So why would we do that? We're just going to look at that, figure out how to replicate it, and then make our own. Thank you.
That's exactly right. They really will be like, oh, I like what you did. I'm going to just steal that idea and make money. You got to remember, at the end of the day, studios are not out to make. They're not out. Their artistic integrity becomes secondary or tertiary. Their number one objective is to make money. They are a business. They're trying to make product. So you're asking why don't they just give money to these indie people to let them do this on their own? Because they don't want to just give money away. They want to make money.
But what I will say though, like one thing that is new now, like with things like the Unreal 5 engine and like all the different game creators that we have now that are indie developers, like the distance between the top and the bottom is getting slimmer and slimmer.
Oh,
Like seeing that a essentially a fan of the franchise went and made that on his own shows what can really be coming from these indie companies now. So
yeah.
beware, I guess, on that front. But I mean,
yeah, you've been warned. You're on notice. You're on
right?
notice.
Because now, like before, only the big companies can make something that looks that good, right? Because it takes a lot of money to do that. Now it's not. Now it's access to you and me. We can make that. So now it's up to the big games to not only make a better looking game. Now they have to make a legitimately better game. Like
a better game. Exactly. The bar has been raised, which is great. The bar has been raised. Like you said, there for the past how many? At least probably a decade plus, roughly. Indie game developers have been doing so much stuff. Everything from the Steam engines. I mean, Portal was made originally like the first Portal by like two female grad students who kind of developed that idea, and then of course you have Cuphead, which was made by those two brothers, and you got Hollow Knight was made by a team of 5 people, which is an incredible overwhelming game. A very small team. The guy who made the original Castlevania made Bloodstained with like only like 5, a very small team there. It's kind of like you can do a lot with a lot less resources and money and without a whole studio backing you now than you could before. It's not unreasonable now to have a very, very high quality game put out for a very low product, for a very low cost.
In an era where independent creation is really promoted really heavy, how long do you guys think it'll take before somebody puts out like a really good independent won't be AAA because they want the funding, but like a really good AAA quality game?
I mean,
next year probably. Like I wouldn't be surprised if one comes out this year. Like it just depends on how much time individuals have to put into a game and how big they want to make it, and two, the resources they have to put behind it. Like as long as you can gather the right things for it. I mean, like I said, like me and E could make a game like with the way things are going now with the creation of stuff. We just have to put in the work to do it. Anybody who does it, they can do it now, and that's a huge step. That's a huge step.
And also the biggest thing too is marketing. That's where a lot of the money always comes in. It's like, half the budget's for marketing, being able to get eyes on it or create awareness for it. That's a huge thing. But now, because a lot of games, I mean, I have a PS5. I know all of us have PS5s. I'm not sure about you guys, but mine is just a digital. I can't even have hard copy games anymore. Mine are all just actual digital. Because of that, you don't have to worry about trying to get any kind of deals with like, GameStop or Best Buy, whatnot. It's like, it's just
you get on their shop,
just get on their PSN or whatever, the digital shops and ready to go.
And then with things like the Steam Deck coming out, like the handheld Steam game, like Steam also gives a lot of leeway to indie creators to put stuff on their site too. So now it's just more and more avenues for indie creators to legit make some money, man. I'm kind of excited for it, but like E said, like people don't realize half of the money that goes into any major production is marketing, whether it be a movie, whether it be a television. Half of the money that goes towards that project is marketing. That marketing costs a lot of money, and that is one thing that the bigger companies have a leg up on to the indie creator. But there are more and more ways to start to get around that, and we're proof of that.
Yeah.
That's dope. Interesting. I'm glad. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm glad we got to talk about that. Getting into the main course of the episode, I'm gonna pull up. I don't know if you guys have seen the new gameplay. This like they showed the initial same name gameplay with Nightwing and Red Hood, but they also showed some extended stuff.
That's the last thing I saw.
I have not. So I saw this last week, and there's more and more.
I have it right here. Boom. There it is. Just extended gameplay from the guy. I'll turn it down. I'm gonna skip ahead. So this is where it cuts off. The initial one cut off that everybody saw, but they dropped. I don't know when they dropped this. It was sometime within the last week.
Now that we've prevented the regulators from stealing data,
yeah, I saw this part. It was last week I saw it, I think.
So I watched the whole thing already initially.
You may have to check the volume there.
Yeah, let me turn the volume down.
Let's watch Red Hood chase and in Southside neighborhood.
Now the game, I'm conflicted because the game looks good, but there are certain things that I don't know if there'd be big things for me, but there definitely be significant in regards to how much I will enjoy the game, if that makes any sense. like looking here, like the combat for the characters isn't as fluid as like the Arkham series. Like it's kind of like not stiff. I don't know what they really call it.
I mean, it is a little bit stiff. It's
you can tell
it's
stiffer.
like you can tell that they essentially divided up the wide range of movement that they put into specifically Batman into 4 different sets of movement abilities. So they everyone's a little bit like diluted in comparison to Batman, but I mean, it's still going to flow smoothly. And I think they wanted you to focus more so on the team gameplay than the individual combat,
which makes sense. It feels more reminiscent to me of like Batman Arkham Asylum combat than like City Forward.
Sure.
Because it's not, you don't just automatically lock on, but again, like you said, it probably refers back to the fact it's going to be more co-op based, so you have to have some kind of a weakness there. You can't solo
which is interesting because actually what they say is that co-op is all the way through the game. It can be, you can play the entire game by yourself or play the entire story in game with a partner, with somebody else. And I think you're right, Deb. It does look a little choppy or a little stiffer than the free flow mechanic that was used in Batman and other Arkham games by Rocksteady, or even in Assassin's Creed and whatnot. But I'm okay with that because as long as it's fun, as long as I enjoy doing that. I mean, all 3 of us have played a little bit Elden Ring. Elden Ring in FromSoft games, stiff as hell. That is just like button push, swing, button push, spell. It couldn't be stiffer, or Skyrim and whatnot. But the games are still enjoyable. You guys love KOTOR. KOTOR is painfully stiff, but the games are still enjoyable in and of themselves. It's okay for it to be different. I know this is still Batman. It's a Batman video game, but this is not by Rocksteady. It's a different company altogether. So I don't feel like they need to be the exact same gameplay.
Right. And this here, that was just a quick look at the customization they have with some of the outfits. I guess I believe you're supposed to be able to like take different parts, with the customization, and take different parts from different outfits and kind of mash them together. Maybe change colors and things of that nature.
Sure.
But some of those look sick to me. I may not even have to change some of them.
Yeah. I mean, with that, they already have an immediate leg up over that Avengers game. So.
I mean, I would say they have whole body up over that Avengers game.
I won't say that. I'll at least say like the combat for the Avengers felt a little bit more, 1, fluid, and 2, felt. I can't say how it feels yet because I haven't played this game, but it just seems a little bit more fun. I don't want to say fun yet because there's 2 different types of superhero games.
Sure,
but Avengers, combat was really fun.
Yeah, I agree. The Avengers combat was fun. That's true. It was.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I was just talking about specifically on the aesthetic because, like in Avengers, you can only pick the whole outfit, and you're in that outfit for that match. With that, you can take one piece of you can take a helmet from one thing, a chest piece from another thing, and keep going from there. It's a little bit like how they have it set up in the Injustice multiplayer online.
Exactly like that.
Pretty much customize piece for piece what you look like, and fans are gonna appreciate that. I know I do.
Yeah,
my red hair's gonna be looking nasty.
And see, another big thing here for me that I'm really iffy on is the oh my god, what's the one? The traversal of the city. Obviously, with Batman, the big point of his traversal was his cape, and like that again, that was more fun than damn near anything I ever played at that point in time. I'm not sure I'm really feeling like the Nightwing glider. If it moves faster, maybe, but it moves. Maybe this is just this is a beta test or a beta gameplay recording, so it's probably not the final version of it. It'll probably have like speed boost as you go along in the game, but I don't know how I feel about that yet. Especially with Red Hood's, where he's just like jumping.
Yeah, he's got the air hike. He got the air hike from Dante.
Yeah, Devil May Cry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you say it looks slow. It's hard to gauge the speed. It doesn't seem like it's that slow. If you remember with the another thing about Batman, it wasn't just the cape flapping that he would do. It was also he had the grappling hook. Zooming around, and you do see in some gameplay that Red Hood is using a grappling hook as well. So they may have both. It may not be just either the jumps or the grappling hook. You actually can do both in this game for these characters to move around. I'm hoping that this company, they seem like they're intelligent enough to kind of learn from the mistakes of their predecessors, as opposed to just repeating them or taking steps back. So I'm hoping for.
And I will say, not to make Arkham seem like it was a perfect series, they struggled with a similar thing too when it comes to these characters when they were for DLC. Like when you use Nightwing for open world traversal in the games, his traversal seemed kind of weak too because again he didn't have a cape. All he had was his grappling hook. Catwoman was the same way. It was kind of it was cool, but to have a huge open world like that and a traversal not be fun. I'm like, granted, you do have a bike in this, so you do have every character has access to a motorcycle, like a batcycle,
which is
so
fun.
that could make up for that.
Yeah.
I mean, me, I'm a little bit more nitpicky. Like, so, like, I don't mind the glider that Nightwing has, but like, my question is like, how do they show where it came from? Like, if he's just jumping off a building and start gliding, like, I need the animation to show where that thing came from to at least look like somewhat clean, not just pop, it's there now. Like,
right. I think it's almost like it's like super duper nanotech, like the way Tony Stark could produce an entire hand cannons out of his arms. Maybe that's the idea. He can pull out of his skirmish sticks. He can produce an entire massive glider. I don't know.
Right.
But that's a fair question.
And obviously, you can see they're taking similar to Avengers in regards to the status effects that they have with certain weapons. You saw Nightwing just had a whole cold status effect he used to free somebody else. You can mix and match different status effects depending on your play style too. So I mean, that's another layer of customization that I do enjoy with games like this. That
absolutely,
I'm ready to see how they if different statuses kind of mix and match like in Avengers.
Right. And I hope they have I don't know, but I feel like they may have an element also of like Mega Man, where depending on like once you've beaten certain bosses, you've gotten their ability. I know that Mr. Freeze is a big character in this game. I think after you've beaten him, you acquire certain abilities from him, like you said, the status effects, or the Court of Owls, as we're seeing here. Maybe you get certain things from the Court of Owls you can use in combat.
Court of Owls stuff, man. I'm happy to see more of that.
Yeah, Court of Owls. I mean, obviously, if they're spoiler alert for Court of Owls, we all know the stories. It may be that the Court of Owls took Bruce Wayne and put him in a massive labyrinth. He's gone. He's missing there. Who knows what happens?
Yeah, I thought they're killing off Batman for good.
Yeah,
it's like I'm pretty sure that's my guess is literally the exact story of the game.
Yeah.
Or he's one of the Talons now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
which I will say,
floor or something.
They do have. You'll see it soon, but they do have different variations of the Talon warriors here. They have like a heavy Talon warrior, light.
Yeah, and we won't get too much.
They got more enemy diversity than that's my entire bar for this game. Just be better than Avengers. As long as you're better than Avengers, you'll be fine. As there's not better than Avengers, you won't be.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Because the Avengers had way too much potential, honestly. Like, I mean, that main story campaign mission was kind of cool, but it's only like 5 hours. And the actual combat, like you said, Dev, the combat was legit, but it was everything else was like, what is going on here? And Otis, you're 100% right. The enemies were like, I'm just fighting the same robots over and over again, and the same two bosses, Abomination and was it Taskmaster? Yeah,
Taskmaster.
Over and over. It's like
for a year.
Yeah.
And even
don't forget the aim bots.
Yeah,
the bots. This is bots, aim bots. It's like,
and even with the new bosses they were like introduced later on, there's just robot versions of that boss.
Right.
So I'm just like, man. Which I'm assuming you probably get more. Obviously, you fight a lot of like regular goons in this game, obviously. But I think you have a lot more diversity with the different bosses. I know Mr. Freeze is the boss in this game.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the Penguin is as well. It's not just the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze, then man, that's a heavy bar to match up to. That Mr. Freeze fight in Arkham City, is one of the greatest boss fights I've ever seen.
It's still, I say, not just in Batman, but in all games.
Period. It was fantastic. Yeah,
ranked that high. Yeah, it's great. But I do think, like I said, I'm hopeful that this company will try to learn from the past as opposed to forgetting and backsliding. Even this thing right here, it seems pretty cool. I know he's using non-lethal rounds, but the idea that he attaches like a bomb to them, shoots it, it's an interesting, different game mechanics for each player and how they're utilized. It seems like fun. Yeah. Seems fun.
The combat seems interesting. It seems
interesting.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're still adding things in because like I haven't really seen 100%. Any like dodges for Jason at all yet. So I mean, they have to have some type of dodge mechanic to there to make that that flow a little bit smoother. But again, there's a reason why this game got pushed back a year.
Yes, that's another thing. Well, so we got to address that elephant as well. Then, not the pushing back, but how it's only going to be released now on the next gen consoles. I got to ask, how do you guys feel about that?
Do it. I want to see what a top tier PS5 exclusively built game can look like. Do it.
Right.
Show me.
I think that's the thing that was holding back a lot of the recent games coming out is that they have to try to build their game according to not just the next gen but the current gen stuff. And with that, obviously, you have to make your game match the level of capability that those are able to do. So if you're got 233, oh my god, okay, that's a lot of skins. Yeah, like build your game with the max spec that you can possibly do. I want to see what the next gen looks like Otis said earlier. I think that it's benefits the game. It'll probably run faster, run smoother, loading. Like if we, my whole thing is the standard going forward that was built with God of War. There should be almost no loading screens in games now.
Sure.
Like that's the standard that they set with the game.
Like with God of War, that's a bit of a myth about how beautifully they crafted that game. Like the loading screens still like were there. They were just hidden behind beautiful graphics. Like they'll have you walking,
opening doors slowly, and those are it's when the oldest tricks in the book they use in Resident Evil. They are there. But they're like Otis said, they're masked. You don't always notice them.
Yeah. They should be that instantaneous to me though, because
they should feel.
God of War that wasn't even exclusively next gen. That was current and next gen.
Mm-hmm. No, it was PS4 originally, and then
I
don't think it wasn't even PS5 at all.
No.
But so this is one thing that I have to address. I agree with you guys. It's cool to utilize the fullest capability of these graphics and things. But back in the day, if you remember in 2020, I guess it was, they specifically said this game will be available on PS4, PS5, all these things. And so you actually promised people that only have PS4s and Xbox Ones that this game would be available to you. And then now you're saying, oh, by the way, we lied. For years, literally, we lied. Also, PS4s and Xbox Series X's are not easy to come by. We are very, very fortunate that we have it, but there are a lot of people that don't. And if you're trying to put this mad, rush
Xbox,
on it,
you can go to Walmart right now and go get an Xbox.
You get Xboxes.
You can, but another thing is the money. They're not cheap.
True, they're not.
So
it's $300.
$300. It was $600 like that. Whatever that price is. No, it's not cheap.
300.
No, for an Xbox Series X, it's not $300.
No. I'm talking about the S. The S.
Yes. But what I mean is that that's where I'm coming down on this issue. Yeah, I agree with you. It's cool to actually have it for the purposes of having a better gameplay experience on that next gen console. If they're doubling down on making sure it is that cool, but the way that you're treating some people that you've promised something to them and it's not there. That's kind of shady. That's why I'm upset about that. So I have mixed feelings on that issue.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I definitely do, but honestly, in reality, it is more expensive to try to build towards both consoles because you essentially have to build two versions of the game.
Yes,
like that's way more expensive than putting like full resources into making the best PS5 experience, best Series X experience.
Right.
So,
and it's not even just a single player game; like it's co-op online. So I'm like, that's two different servers you have to accommodate for at that point.
Of course. But do you guys think you feel differently if you did not have the next gen consoles?
I wouldn't.
This would be more motivation to get the next gen, honestly. Like,
and if you couldn't get one.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Life is life, man. I mean, granted, obviously, I'm speaking from point of owner of a PS5 now, but just like with 2K and all these other games that came out, where 2K you can play. Well, no, you really can't. You can't play next gen, no, because I could for the longest time. Otis and Stan had to buy the current version of 2K22 to play with me, and I couldn't play the next gen version with them. Although it sucked, and especially how much I love basketball. I love 2K as bad as many issues that it has. I play that every year because I love basketball so much, but I still had to just bite the bullet at that point. But 2K even did that, and they have many, many issues with their gameplay over the years. But they knew they had to make the best possible product they can, because if you try to do both, and one, just costing you money, time, and resources, it's going to be a lot more glitchy and have a lot more issues doing it for both.
With 2K specifically, they did actually make two, which is how I partially know why it's so expensive and how it can fuck up both systems into splitting it up into two games. Like they have to maintain two games on two different generations of consoles at the same time, and it's hurting 2K. That's a perfect example. I would not want that in a game like Gotham Knights.
All right. That's a perfect example, actually, because it's also primarily co-op gameplay. People play 2K together in squad.
And those servers are terrible to this day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I see y'all's points, and y'all are right. If you start focusing your efforts and energy towards one generation, you can make things that much better. And another example is Cyberpunk 2077. That was a fiasco of all kinds because they started that in 2008. But by the time the game was coming out, they had so many generations of game consoles to deal with. But It was better on some. It was like on PC and on like I think the PS5s and Xbox Series X's. It was better, but then of course on the PS4s and Xbox Ones, it was atrocious. So it's again if you're trying to make everyone happy and end up making nobody happy, I get that. It's just that I was just upset, but I can only feel for those who. I guess I'm acknowledging the privilege, that we have the next gen, and many people can't afford it and don't have it. And the idea that someone said you will have it. I mean, for years, you got to remember this game was advertised in 2020 and promised to come out originally in 2021. And it wasn't until recently, until this last, then it came out this announcement in the last week where it said, oh, by the way, it's coming on it's on PS5 exclusively. It's like that's when they changed. That's when they pretty much let people know then. If you've been looking for this game for years on your console for PS4 and Xbox One, and then they say, oh, by the way, sorry, go screw yourself. It's like, I'd be upset. I'd be livid.
I understand, especially if you're like a DC fanboy like I am. I'd understand that. I'd understand it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely understand it because I mean, it is unfortunate, especially if you are in a position where you cannot get next gen. That's tough.
That's tough. You know?
Granted, I think within like the next year, some change, they'll probably ramp up more production on PS5s. Because I think they ramped up more production on GPUs in general, is what I heard.
I think they did. I know there was a shortage of the actual chips there for a while too. But and the world's a mess. The world's a huge mess. But
chip shortage. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
all types of business, not just video games.
Not just video games, and even gas price. Gas is affected by that too. Believe it or not. But I think obviously. We are heading towards everyone getting the next gen console. This is going to happen, and more games will be exclusive to those things. It's how these things work. So it's just in the future, if companies would just be mindful of that as far as saying, look, this game will only be available on these consoles ahead of time. The end. Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is that unfortunately, this isn't like the only time that's happening.
No.
Like every time a new generation of consoles comes out, there's always that game that was talked about on the old console, but only ends up coming out on the new console. It's a repeated cycle, unfortunately. But I mean, that's the cycle, and we are now several years into the life of this generation. So there's about time that it has like some game that is only on there. For the most part, everything is on both.
I think just because this is just a huge title that has a huge fan base that is behind it, why people will feel a certain type of way.
Right. Is there anything that is next gen exclusive for multiplayer? I know there's obviously, like, for example, there's a Demon's Souls exclusively on PS5. But I mean, is there anything that's next gen console exclusive that's multi-platform?
No, I got 19.5 20 vision. I got glasses. I just don't wear them.
Yeah, we're blind. I don't know about Ethan, but I'm literally blind. Damn near.
I even with glasses on, I can't see who's talking right now. I thought that was my mom. Was that my dad? I don't know who it is.
What's up, Craig?
Good,
anyway, yeah. But what were you saying, Otis? Or is it Ethan just talking? I don't remember.
We can't see. We can't tell who it was. We can't see.
But
the question I had before was that I'm curious because I don't know because I'm also the old man here. Is there a game that is next gen exclusive that's multi-platform? Like Demon's Souls was on.
Like Demon's Souls is the only PS5 exclusive game.
It's PS5 exclusive.
That's multiplayer.
Yeah. So okay, I don't know if there's one on Xbox. There might be one on Xbox Series X. There's not. Okay. So, but I guess that's another thing too. Is I'm always we had this call before. Why was there such a mad dash for people to get these next gen consoles when there's barely anything that's exclusive on them?
But this is how you start that push. Like you have to start putting games on there exclusively. So
fair.
Yeah.
But even with usually they have launch titles, right? You know, in the past, there's always been a mass at least 5 or 6 or whatever launch titles along with the system. There really wasn't any launch titles with these
because
systems.
He's been fumbling the bag. Like,
well, I will say Sony promote. Like we just talked about how big promotion wise, these niggas coined it perfect with the promo of the console. From like, I don't know if they're responsible for. We talked about it before. Companies probably are like artificially creating like memes and stuff like that. Because that whole meme about like doing whatever you got to do to get a PS5 or getting a sugar mama and blah 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 blah. Like it created a culture where PS5 looks superior to any and everything else going forward.
Right.
What did Craig say?
They're actually Dev, you're right. And also we do have one, not just of me though. We have one of me, Otis, and Zill from remember that? The blooper reel. Willow. Actually, I have that.
I remember that.
We'll play that in this episode. I'll go ahead and load it up in here.
Mark Hamill or Ethan? I don't know. Who I'd rather have.
Okay.
I'll load it up in here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deb. You were saying.
Oh no, yeah, just the culture. Like Lily was crazy. Like from different generations on top of that too. It wasn't just like a young generation thing. Like older people were like y'all's generation or even older somewhat probably were like participating in like the meme culture of getting a PS5. Like I have to get a PS5.
Yes. It was a strong campaign. It's overwhelming.
It's to a point today where people were like, oh, $1,300 for a PS5, maybe like today.
It's insane. Here's the thing: people that don't even play video games were really into it as well. It's like it's just that hot of a commodity, the items that people wanted, and it's
good marketing.
I can't.
I don't even know how you begin to market that well, bro. I don't know if it's just the money or what, but
it's for sure the money. What do you mean?
Creating a culture,
bread. Yes,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
you pay a couple big like influencers on social media to make some videos on.
Make some videos, make some memes. Like you saw, like all the videos people were putting up of people getting their PS5s destroyed, and like it was a whole wave of content that came out. That is not unintentional. That is not unintentional.
That's genius, man. Genius marketing, bro. Sony on their shit when it comes to that PS5, boy. They push that shit well.
And meanwhile, have you seen? When was the last time you seen a commercial for Halo Infinite? You seen or the Halo series? Like, you seen anything new about that? Anything positive about Halo Master Chief losing his virginity on TV?
Oh, this conversation went from 5 to 2,000 quickly.
Video games of virginity really fast. That was insane.
You started that bridge, Charlie, and you know what I'm talking about.
Jesus Christ.
That was planned. I did it on that for a reason. I did it on that for a reason.
God damn. That is fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. Speaking of which, we have to bring this elephant up, this small elephant, I guess this hippo, real quick. I'm sure y'all heard recently how Batman is potentially bi-curious or bi-interested.
No. I did not hear about that.
When did they do that?
So he went all the way from not eating vagina to now he likes everything.
Why do you think he's not eating vagina though?
That was the whole. They specifically said when Cat, well, at least hers, that he didn't do that.
My brother.
So
he ain't eating the box because he like glizzies now. That's what it is. Well, like the glizzies. He don't want the box no more. Which I honestly don't care because my whole thing is there are a million different runs and a million different versions of this character that if you don't like the new one they're coming out with, go reread an old comic.
Right.
Or he's just taking down women left and right across the universe. Go watch the Bale stuff if you want to, where he's like got women sitting on top of each other in a Lambo. Like there's plenty of versions of him where he's just hyperly heterosexual. So if you want to see those, you'll see those. Oh well, that's not that big. Is the story good? That's my question. Is the story good and does it make sense?
So about that, basically what it is, because it's not even confirmed or not yet. Basically what it is like he's given like longing eyes towards someone, and the theory is more or less he's playing this guy. It's Bruce Wayne, not Batman, but Bruce Wayne potentially playing a guy to draw him in to do something with it. So it's almost like there's a James Bond movie where Javier Bardem's character kind of seemingly almost propositions James Bond, saying this is the first time for everything, and James Bond says, hey, that's my first time. Obviously they're not saying James Bond is gay or bi, but it's kind of the idea of like I'm playing the game for the job. Right. Something similar with Batman. And now the issue is that this has been an ongoing trend with characters, especially in DC recently, becoming more and more bi or gay or what have you. And from the community of the LGBTQ plus community, it seems like more and more blatant pandering, and they're getting more and more upset about
it. It's like, there is a whole month for you guys. Let's get some money off of you too. That's what I feel like it is.
Like right now, because it's coming up in next month. It's like, let's go launch this Batman bi potential right now.
And it kills me with Batman stuff in particular because you have a whole gay Batman person in the Rose Gallery that you just stop promoting at all.
Yeah,
like make another Batwoman run. Do that. She's lit. Like you
made
her.
Or Harley Quinn.
Or Harley Quinn who's bi. Yeah.
Like I don't. Which I think hopefully that this Aqualad series will break that. Or shit, if they continue to make Aqualad bisexual.
He's openly bi. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. In the series, they may not make him like that. I don't know because I don't think it's a direct. I don't think it's a direct trend like movement from the Young Justice show to that.
Oh, it's not?
Their own thing. I don't think so.
If it's not, then I'm less interested.
That'd be I know that's the thing. Is you're losing the momentum. You're just taking steps backwards.
Right. I mean, I think you can base them off of that without like just
like either way it goes. If it's not connected to it, I'm less interested.
Fair. That's fair. I feel like you're coming from, because it is the same Aqualad that's in the Young Justice series. So I don't know why they wouldn't have him portrayed the same way.
It's that same character, but I don't know if they're gonna make everything about him the same. If that makes any sense.
Interesting.
Like they've had Dick Grayson in multiple things, but he's been portrayed a different way in different things. Which, I mean, as long as you have the core fundamentals of his character in it, I don't care. Like as long as he's that character to the core from what you like, just don't do a whole 180 and now he's like hyper hetero and smashing every woman on earth and now he's making whippy jokes and shit. Like just keep him to the core of the character that people fell in love with and you'll do fine, to me at least.
I mean, for me, it's not even that. Like I thoroughly enjoy the Young Justice version of Aqualad. Like I've come to respect him on multiple levels throughout the course of his journey throughout this series. Like that's the one that I like. Like
that's what I want to see more of. That's the story I want. Yeah.
As soon as I saw them saying they were gonna do live action, I already knew what it was.
It's live action?
Yeah, bro. I told you that. It's live action. Oh, it's Charlize Theron directing a live action Aqualad film.
It's live action.
I thought I said that when we brought it up before.
You did.
I remember seeing it. I remember seeing promo for it. Initially, it was supposed to be a series. Now it's a movie.
It's a live action series.
No, it's not a movie. It's
it's a live action series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
He did mention it because I think that I think when he said it the first time, we're both like, oh, okay. We're both kind of taking it back when he said it then too. The thing is, Dev, you gotta understand, Dev drops knowledge on us sometimes. It's so much, it's overwhelming. Kind of like we almost have to impress it from our brains to like not pass out.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, you did mention.
I mean, I'm not disgruntled about it. I mean, Charlize Theron has. I think I watched Atomic Blonde, which she directed, which she did pretty good in that. And obviously,
did she direct that though?
I thought so.
No, she directed.
She never directed it.
I know she had a lot to do with what's that movie that she has on Netflix where she's a mortal and has to act.
Old Guard.
She had a lot to do with that,
but
producing and directing that. I know she did a lot for that.
Yeah, she was.
So we know she does she does okay with nerd content, and she's obviously in the MCU and stuff now. So I mean, she's okay, and she's in touch with nerd stuff from what I've seen. So I'm not super disgruntled about it. And then this is an original character that we really haven't seen live action before. So they get a fresh, clean slate. You don't have things to live up to in regards to live action. Well, I mean, you have to live up to the animated character, of course, but in regards to other live action, like as far as like a look, stuff like that, you can kind of experiment and do that in regards to that. Well, depending if you want to like have them connected to the Aquaman universe at all, which I don't know if they're maybe they'll introduce him in the Aquaman movie. I don't know.
Either way, like they in going live action, they make their job a lot more difficult.
Yes, I'll say that.
Yeah, they do. But it could have a grander audience, a bigger audience.
Absolutely,
live action. That's the thing. So with Charlize Theron, she's produced like 37 plus things, shows and films. She hasn't directed anything yet. She's a producer on this series, Dev?
I think she's directing this. Is what I heard.
She's directing it. Okay, interesting debut. But she's been around she's been in the game forever. So give her a shot on something.
Like, also, my doubt for this isn't from her in the slightest. I don't think she's incapable of putting together a series like this, whether she's producing, directing, whatever her role is. I don't doubt the quality that she can make. It's just that there are only certain limitations to what you can do in live action medium in general.
Right.
So I mean, good luck. I'll watch it. I'll watch the first couple episodes, but I mean, you got like if it looks like the CW or if it looks
that's
like
what I was gonna say.
Or if it looks like even like Doom Patrol, because Doom Patrol like is a better show, but it doesn't look the great.
I think maybe that's because of the vibe. I think they felt like they were being really comedic with that show. So I feel like they made shit look like weird like that for the show itself is weird as hell. So I think it matches like the tone and what they were going for.
What's the excuse for Titans?
Titans is bad all around.
It was too. They tried to make it too dark. It's the other way around.
They tried to do too much too soon.
Too much.
They added in like 15 different characters on the roster within like 2 seasons. I was like, yo. Yeah. They introduced Crypto, the super talk in like season 2. I'm like, what are you doing? You're doing way too much.
That was
Crypto the Super Dog at the same time as Slade and his daughter that he now has.
Right, Slade's
He's
daughter.
had her in the comics for a minute now.
Yeah, she's been around for a while.
Yeah,
but it was just a lot of and
Which-
also there were
she looks a lot better in the animated series they did. They did an animated movie with Deathstroke got his own animated movie that was really good, and there was a better version of her in that.
You're talking about the
dragons? Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't get through like 5 minutes of that.
I
The
didn't.
animation was
Yeah, it's on
terrible.
a.
The animation was atrocious. Oh my god, that looked bad. I couldn't do it.
The story was dope.
It might have been. I didn't receive it because the animation looked so bad.
I'm curious because I do like that character. She's been in other stuff. She was in because she is a Titan, and she's in the comic books as a Titan for a while, years ago. So that's not a recent development. And actually, I've seen her there. She's really cool. And I like how they have.
No, it wasn't. It's the son that Nightwing killed. That was the added. Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, to detour from that shitty shit. In regards to the animated, the detour from the detour. Getting, I guess, back into we were talking about the like from the animated Young Justice stuff to this. I don't know why they're so gung ho on live action stuff when I feel like their most successful stuff has been animated, to me at least. Obviously, they had the bad taste in their mouth from the animated movie series that they had, where like 1 in every 4 were good, and they ended that. But what's crazy, even in that process with that, they dropped the Fatal 5, which again was a return to the Bruce Timm Justice League JLU stuff. That did great. People love that. I love that. So I'm like, what does well, even with Young Justice, like you have an animated series that's critically acclaimed by the nerd base, and that does well. I'm like, don't get turned off from animation in general. Just like look to see what worked and what didn't work and replicate what worked.
Sure.
And I don't know why. I don't know who's in charge of making the decisions on what they're going to green light going forward, but somebody got to go. They got to do something different because it's just crazy.
That's not a DC thing. That's clears that or unclears that. That is Warner Brothers.
Right. It's a lot of other.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers has lots of.
Yes, it is.
That's even worse.
Yeah. Warner Brothers has lots of stuff to work out. But I think, like you said before, so if you look at things like, for example, the MCU, a lot of their money comes from the big live action pieces, set pieces, things like that. Obviously, Warner Brothers wants live action money, so they're trying to do that. And they've had, like it or not, they've had lots of success with the CW shows. I mean, they have a massive pantheon of live action shows that brought them money. So it may be the more profitable route to go.
I have no clue. I've never heard that crank cuffin. I almost said crank muffin, crank cuffin. I don't know how it would be woke.
Who said it was? What's woke about it?
There's no black people in the game,
right?
No, well, that's not. There's woke goes beyond just that. Woke goes beyond also, LGBTQ and then women's rights and.
No, I'm just saying, like, what would be the like? I haven't seen any LGBTQ spectrum characters in there.
Is it Tim's bisexual? I guess.
No, is he?
Tim? I mean, in the comics, he is now.
Yeah, but is Tim the Robin in the Gotham Knights, or is that Damian?
Yeah, it's Tim.
Tim Drake.
Okay.
I thought it was just Damian, but it's.
I
didn't. Because the outfit looks more like the Damian outfit.
It does.
It looks almost exactly like one of them that he has, but I wasn't sure.
He'll probably get a Red Robin outfit later on in the game, probably.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, he would.
Besides that, I don't see where the woke it's coming from.
I don't know, but I wouldn't be. Again, we just had a conversation about like how woke culture is becoming almost toxic in of itself, and too much pandering with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put something unnecessarily woke, quote unquote woke, in that game too.
Put your kufi on. Put your kufis on, people. But yeah, what were we just saying in regards to the animated stuff?
Yeah, with Warner Brothers being the people that greenlight DC content, they own it. They own DC.
Yeah,
it was crazy to me. I don't know why they're dead set on live action money when there's a whole movement now where studios are buying up all this anime content. I'm like, you obviously see animations doing well, but I mean, the fact that everybody's buying it up, I'm like, make some more animated.
Last time animated anything made $2 billion in the box office.
It's rare. I mean, the most
Spider-Verse? Did it make $2 billion?
No.
$2 billion?
No, it didn't make $1 billion. It didn't make $1 billion.
No.
Actually, Spider-Verse actually was a bit of a. It wasn't a bomb, but it didn't do as well as the studio.
That was a bomb?
No, it was not a bomb, but it didn't do quite as well as Sony actually originally hoped it would do. It got major legs later on and got all kinds of attention later on, but it wasn't initially when it was
the
released, it
box
wasn't a
office
massive
was,
success.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you
but
exactly what it got.
they had to have made that money back by now, though.
They made the money back. Oh yeah, they made the money
Yeah.
back, but it wasn't a massive success like it should have been. And it was extremely well liked, but it had to kind of like it
I
caught
think it's
on
just
over
because of the
time.
innate people they had promoting that, like who really like Miles Morales is known, but he's not like the Spider-Man, and the
fairly
Spider-Verse is
unknown.
like an unknown thing.
Yeah.
Which the next movie, I guarantee you, is going to be a big hit at the box
Yeah,
office.
it'll be a
yeah.
massive draw. Yeah, yeah. It's the
Right.
same team. But so I think the most profitable animated film, maybe of all time, is it the Demon Train Mugen Slayer? I'm sorry, Demon Slayer Mugen Train. I think it's that, right?
Mugen Train. Yes, it is.
But that didn't cross $2 billion. I don't know how much that.
Nowhere near it.
No.
Nowhere near
$1 billion is a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Into the Spider-Verse grossed $375 million at the box office.
Right.
They spent 150 million to make it in all the marketing, I guess. So I mean, yeah,
So
it was a success. Absolutely. I'm sorry, not 100, 90 million. They spent 90 million to make it, 375 back. So that's a huge success.
Right. So it's about 180 million total because you got to double it. So that's so after 180 million, everything else is profit, basically.
Right. So put that in perspective, right? Let's look at Venom. Venom made 675 million, and that we know that's not the greatest live action movie.
We know,
but that made 675 million. While a movie that is universally known to be a better movie, in spite of
Oscar winning
movie at that, made 375 million. That's what that is. It's all about money.
It kills me because like, why do you need to make $500 million or make $1 billion? Why can't you just make a profit, have good content that people like, and then just continue from there?
Because one thing is you obviously want businesses they're not just about making enough money to pay back their employees. It's about growing. They're always trying to grow your business. So the more money you make, the more growth you can have overall. And also you never know what's going to fail miserably. So you got to have enough cushion at your business to take some risks and have some failures to do those things too. So it's again, it's an enterprise, it's a company. They're always trying to make as much as possible, not spend as little as possible. Animation typically costs a lot of money and doesn't traditionally make that as much. Live action is almost an inherent 4-quadrant type of thing, where animation typically appeals more to the younger audiences.
Right. But I feel like with that capitalistic like thought process and business scheme, obviously it's capitalism, so you're gonna be doing that. It's not saying like a scheme, but it's capitalism. That's how it works.
Capitalism.
The innate thing is I feel like it has a detriment to the quality of stuff, obviously a lot.
Of course.
Integrity is gone. Well, my whole thing is in regards to that, with Spider-Verse being an example, right, where obviously it didn't do well initially in the initial box office sales, but they made that money back through the culture and the hype that was built around it later on when people actually started to check it out and there was a culture built around it. You're probably making that money back from toys. Again, they were so big on toys beforehand. Now they have an animated property that was made with love and not just rushed out with profit. Now it's like it's going to do well in the box office. Now it'll probably won't make it may make 600 million. I don't know, because Miles Morales hype since that movie came out is like not even like that movie built hype for him in the game. Like if that movie wouldn't have done well, I doubt they would have dropped a whole PS5 version of Miles Morales in the game.
They wouldn't have, because it was supposed to be a DLC, almost a very simple DLC originally that Miles Morales game. It was shorter, and then because the movie was so successful, they said, well, F it, let's go ahead and actually make a bigger game. It's not a full game, but they made it a bigger game, bigger campaign for him. His character got much more attention. The Compost, he got another run with them too. I think they did a run with him and Gwen Stacy, because him and Gwen Stacy are in different universes. They can't have kids together, but they found a way to have like a different kind of share. You guys know this in the combos, have a shared universe where they actually had some kids, like a what if story essentially. So yeah, you got a lot of legs because of that. So yeah.
So I'm like, if you do projects like that in which where obviously you can't do all passion projects, but you do a project that you don't project it to do 2 billion, but let's say our goal is to make a profit off of this thing. Like at the end of the day, you're making a profit, you have a positive business margin there. Why is that not good enough? Why can't you just make money off the thing that you created? And then that thing is probably going to make you more money along the line with other projects based off that IP later on, which again, Miles Morales being the prime example. They could drop anything Miles related now and it's going to make money because now he has brand recognition from that one movie.
I agree. You're not wrong. I agree, brother. That's the ideal scenario.
That just
real quick, I got to
just a little rant.
Here. We appreciate that. Crank, our boy Dev, worked on that really hard. So we appreciate that very much.
Worked hard on that video. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Like those those are my passion videos. So the fact that you enjoyed those, I really appreciate that, man.
Right on. Okay.
We got 6 minutes to go out, so I guess we can close on something that we've spoken about this IP briefly before. Obviously, Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is getting a reboot on Hulu. I know you guys aren't.
Wow.
You guys aren't the biggest fans. I love that movie from nostalgia wise and childhood stuff.
I love the comic book. I love the comic book. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've seen the comic. I'm a fan of certain things of the movie. Like, I mean, it's a good concept. Like, it's a great concept. Yeah, it's a very dope concept. So I'm interested in seeing more of that content. But just don't be that movie.
That movie's abysmal. The book is great. The book is actually great. You guys would actually enjoy it too, because it actually deals with the philosophies of different types of people. They're coming together. It's actually a really good book.
Boy, Alan Moore is different, boy.
Alan Moore is very different. Moore, I've actually had to. I've studied him a couple of times for writing and stuff. He's bizarre, but he's a good one. But yeah, so you're hopeful, Dev, for this. Now, what's it on? Is it on Amazon?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
I'm pretty sure. I think it'll be a series. It says a reboot, so I'm assuming it's going to be a series. I don't see them just bringing. I don't know. Has Hulu done any exclusive? Well, they do have exclusive.
They have a lot of exclusives.
I've watched like a couple of the horror ones that were kind of
Did you see the one called Run? It was called just Run.
About the girl that couldn't.
Yeah. Oh, too soon.
Oh.
But I think I actually thought it was a great movie, because also she actually is a genuine paraplegic in real life. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she actually is. Yeah.
I did not see that.
It's a solid movie.
It's a very solid movie. Yes.
Yes, V for Vendetta.
Yeah,
that's like legendary.
I love the movie. I love that movie.
The movie and the book are both pretty good. Also, fun fact for Blurs, V for Vendetta, the movie is directed by a couple of Blurs, by the Hughes brothers. They also did Menace to Society. I know you all seen that as well.
Really?
Yeah, the same guys who did Menace to Society did V for Vendetta. Directed the movie V for Vendetta. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? You said Menace to Society. I thought about Don't Be a Menace.
I mean, you're like the Wayans brothers, not the Wayans brothers. The Hughes brothers.
What the fuck? I was like, how did they go?
It's time for us to go. It's time for us to go. Jesus.
Oh, that was funny to me. I like that movie.
It was a funny movie. Yes,
it was silly. It was silly.
Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you just need to just be able to laugh at stupid shit.
That's fair. I'll give you that, especially these days.
You know how I feel about stupid shit.
But we laugh at it though.
I laugh at the person, not at the actual thing. That's different.
We have different. I'm a snob when it comes to music. Otis is a snob when it comes to humor.
I am a humor snob. I am. Yeah. You are absolutely right. I'll take it.
Yeah. I'm not judging. No, you're my boy. I'm not judging you for it, but that's it is what it is. But speaking of humor, we promised Craig, if he's still in, we promised him we'd show it's not a compilation of me, but it's a blooper reel that we had from one of our old school loose cannons debates this is like
you got almost this still
2 years. It's 2 years ago, right? At least 2 years ago.
Had that in the vault, boy.
I don't even know if Dev's seen this one. This is a minute ago. Dev's actually kind of featured in it, his text. So we can show this right quick as we end up the show here.
Yeah, put the blooper reels at the end.
I'll put a blooper at the end.
Oopsie.
Time.
Oh, to my
I'm sorry.
It's so hard to not agree with you.
Yeah. Hey, man.
I gotta finish this movie. I gotta finish.
You can't. You have to keep a straight face. If you break, we're gonna break too.
Positive things to say. I'm done. I quit.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh man.
Shout out Zell, boy. That's my man, bro.
Yeah, we got it.
Bro, I'm looking forward to seeing you at BlurryCon, bro. I hope you make it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we shall go to BlurryCon. But for those who are wondering, that was from our debate on who fumbled the ball more in the ending between Game of Thrones season 8 and Batman. What's the
Dark Knight Rises?
Dark Knight Rises. Oh man.
And I think we all lost. There was no winner in that debate. Everyone just lost.
That was fun. I remember that one specifically because that's when I was on my depressing ass night shift job, and I was watching that on the shift. I was watching that on shift.
We made you even more depressed because of that. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. We're about at time. This has been another episode of the Then and Out podcast, greatest podcast in the universe, multiverse, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Derek Rose.
So, like, if that's Earth 616 in Marvel, what number is ours then?
The real, whatever real niggas from.